Today's top story from the perspective of someone who's there.
You are looking live.
This just in.
Not my beat.
He is there. He will be there. Philly guy, covers the Eagles, and he'll be on the call for the Compass Media Radio Network this weekend. It's our guy, Brian Baldinger, of course, also Odyssey Sports NFL Insider and NFL Network analyst. Baldy, what's up, my guy? How are you?
Craig, I'm good, man. It's good to be with you.
It is good to be with you too, and I want to start where you're at your happiest, on the line of scrimmage, talking big uglies, talking O-line, talking D-line, and I actually want to start on the Commanders' defensive line because I had you in my head with your pen just circling stuff on your screen when I was watching the Commanders' D-line back this weekend. What did you make of Chase Young's game and the game as a whole for specifically the defensive line against the Bills?
Well, they have to play harder, number one, and they have to be more disruptive, period. I mean, that's Josh Allen back there, and if you don't get to Josh Allen, if you don't hit Josh Allen, if you don't, get in his business, he's going to rip you apart, and that's what he did. They're a front four-based team. They put a lot of resources in the front four. They didn't make enough plays. I didn't think they played hard enough. I didn't think they chased the ball well enough. And so the teams that are winning right now, the teams that are really good, and I know they have a winning record, but the teams that are really good at the top of the leaderboard right now, their defensive lines are affecting this game. Cleveland is, Philadelphia is, San Francisco is. They're winning games because their defensive line is winning the line of scrimmage. And I didn't think the Commanders did that last week.
So the chasing the ball part is the part where I thought of you because there were a couple plays where I saw Chase behind the play, kind of jogging after it. And I know that's something that in the past you've highlighted, good and bad. When guys really get after it, you highlight it. Yeah. When guys don't, you'll highlight that as well. And my question would be, these are big, long men who are running into each other, or big, strong men, and it is tiring. Is this a case where it is just a matter of effort, or do you think that there's a coaching strategy decision to get a little bit more rotation and that perhaps, because these guys are so good, they're playing a little bit too much to actually be effective at their maximum level?
That's all baloney. Max Crosby plays every snap. He never slows down. Nick Bosa plays almost every snap. He doesn't slow down. TJ Watt. You want to be a great player, then play hard. Get yourself in condition. Get yourself in better condition. Chase has to play harder. I've been on his case about it. I mean, it's just a fact. You got to. The defensive line's job is to affect the quarterback in the screen game, in the short game, in the perimeter game. It's the defensive line's job to get to the ball. Period. Turn and run. Good things happen when you get to the ball. When you don't get to the ball, good things don't happen. I saw last week a rookie, Jalen Carter, double back after rushing a passer and punched the ball out of the running back's hands at the end of the first half. The Eagles got the ball and scored. I mean, affect the game. So effort is paramount.
Brian Baldinger with us here on the Hoffman Show. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ball, there's so much talk about the Commanders' O-line, how much of it is their fault for these 19 sacks that Sam Howell has taken versus Sam holding on to the ball, the play calling of Eric Bieniemy, receivers getting open so Sam has somewhere to go with the ball. When you watch the tape, where do you, I don't say assign blame, but how do you parse up the potential solutions to the problem?
Well, it's a mix of everything, but, let's just say, last week, they blitzed their linebackers, quite a bit in Buffalo, and I didn't think that Washington did a good job adjusting to it, whether it was blitz pickup or how they fit into the scheme. And so Terrell Bernard gets, 2 sacks for us. I mean, he's 220 pounds. He shouldn't get to the quarterback, but he did. So it's a little bit of everything. I think Andrew Wiley, I think they were expecting better performances from him. But, he played with Patrick Mahomes, who just has – it's a little deceiving sometimes if you're playing for Mahomes or Brady. These guys just either get rid of the ball quickly or they know how to avoid pressure. So now Andrew Wiley's back there with a guy that started his 4th game. He's not a veteran and poised, and his movement isn't like those other guys. And so, he looks like, a guy that has not played up to free agent expectations. That can happen. But they got to play better as a group right now. And, it's not one guy. But, I think Buffalo's defense line is good. I don't think they're great. But Leonard Floyd certainly had his way last week, and Rousseau and Ed Oliver. And so they got to play better up front. The quarterback's got to make a few better decisions. But I'm not going to kill the quarterback. I mean, he made his fourth start, and he made a couple throws that one, he never saw the safety. All right, that happens to almost every quarterback early in their careers. But I'm not going to put it all on him.
When you look at what EB specifically can do, I mean, he's the one who brought Wiley over. Eric talked about it today. He's like, I got to be better. It starts with me. I built this roster. I'm calling the plays. From a play calling standpoint, knowing that you have Sam Howell and not Patrick Mahomes, and their skill sets and avoiding sacks are very, very different, what do you think that he could do to help out in Sam's fifth start that he wasn't able to do in his fourth?
Well, I mean, look, they're going to see maybe the best defensive line of football. Now, Hassan Reddick hasn't done much. He's playing with a broken thumb. But their interior defensive tackle position is maybe the deepest and the best in football. You're going to see Jalen Carter. I mean, he's a disruptive guy. And so you got to set short. I was Eric Bieniemy, like, we got a short set this week. You can't drop back. These guys are going to run you over. Like, they just will. Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, you give them any kind of a runway, they're going to truck you. It's just a fact. So you almost have to run block these guys every play and get on them quick. Now, that if they're running stunts, that can lead to a lot of problems. But if I'm Eric, like last week, got Leonard Floyd out there, he's playing great football. You got to chip them. You got to double them. You can't, it's just not, Andrew isn't, he's not Lane Johnson out there. Like, he's just not. So, you got to figure out a way to help your guys out. And they did a little bit of that, but probably not enough.
Brian Baldinger, NFL Network, with us here on the Hoffman Show. So if you study Philly, watch Philly every single week, like if you're trying to put together a game plan and identify the weaknesses in that defense, the areas where if you do it right, you can exploit, where are those spots? Because obviously there's talent at all three levels, and we know they've been able to ride that defense as their offense is working through some things to a 3-0 start.
Well, I mean, last year, Washington went in there, and the Eagles were a big, 8-0 at the time, and the best team in football, and blowing everybody out. Washington won the game, and Brian Robinson had a great game, and they had a lot of manageable third downs, and they controlled the clock and the ball, and, it was an impressive win. Maybe their best win of the season last year. And so you can start by saying, like, if we did it last year, why can't we do it this year? Like, literally the Eagles went out and bought Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph off the street as soon as that game ended. And they went to a 5-man defensive front. I mean, that's the Eagles' solution if you're running the ball against them. So if you see the Eagles in a 5-man defense front, that's what they're there for. They're there to stop Brian Robinson, not let him get started. But I would start with that. I'd start with the run game and a commitment to it. And I would, sure enough, go after the Eagles' right corner. I mean, I think it's going to be Bradbury, but whoever's out there in their slot corner. Like, they've had a lot of injuries at corner. They've lost 2 for the year. They've had a rookie out there in Job. They've had Bradbury in and out of the lineup. They're trying to find a slot corner. Like, I'd get the Terry and Scary Terry, and I'd get, Jahan Dotson. I'd get these guys matched up on them and see if they can hold up, because I'm not so sure against the speed that those two guys have that they can hold up. And it seems like almost every game I've ever watched Terry McLaurin play against the Eagles, he's gotten behind the Eagles. So, I mean, I just pull out some old tape and go, I mean, Terry's did it this year, and he did it that year, and he did it this game. Like, let's take some shots, because you're not going to win this game against the Eagles unless you take some shots. And McLaurin's got elite speed and route running ability. Like, I'd sure enough try to get him matched up on some of these guys.
Yeah, that goes back to his first career game, kind of the breakout moment, because I was on the beat then, and it was like, this guy's been pretty good in camp. Let's see what he does. And then, sure enough, we're up there in Philly, 1 o'clock, week 1, and there goes Terry behind the defense, and he hasn't stopped ever since. On the offensive side for the Eagles, to wrap up here, Baldy, we recorded the podcast this morning, and Logan said as he's watched Jalen Hurts this year, he doesn't think he's quite playing to the level that he was last year. He looks more like the Jalen Hurts of 2 years ago. They've obviously started 3-0. They're able to overcome it. But what do you see when you watch Jalen Hurts in 2023 with the new offensive coordinator in place and adapting to this version of this offense?
Well, I mean, he's way better than 2 years ago, way better. Now, is he putting up the numbers that he put up last year? No. But he's not running as much either. The deep ball has, the Patriots will take the deep ball away from you. They opened up with them. They got one the whole day against them. They were all frustrated. But, look, it's just the deep ball it's going to be a little hit or miss sometimes. A.J. Brown's a little frustrated. I think he could have had a couple more deep ball catches. You got to, when it hits your hands, you got to catch it. But, the touchdown throw to Zacchaeus last week, I mean, I don't know many quarterbacks that would stayed in the pocket and taken that hit from Shaq Barrett like he did and delivered a dime for a touchdown. So they're not having exactly the same success, but it's still early. It's only September. Like, they're a deep ball passing team. That's not going to change. Washington better get ready to defend 6 or 8 of them come Sunday afternoon. And we'll just see, does he get 3 or 4 of them? Does he get 1? Does he hit them all? Like, he's going to take his shots. And they got 2 guys that can go get it like nobody else.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think is interesting when watching Jalen is, like, even the ball that he gets picked on against Tampa in the end zone, deeper shot, is more, it was like 30-yard ball or so because of where they were on the field. But, like, that ball's right where it needs to be, except for the defender in the way. Like, he is going to give his guys a chance. And I think that is the thing that maybe, when you talk about what scouts missed or what GMs missed coming out, going back to Alabama through Oklahoma, his accuracy numbers are incredibly impressive.
Well, I mean, scouts miss just like how big his heart is for the game and what kind of commitment he has to the game. Like, his commitment is second to none in this whole business. And so he's still sick that they lost the Super Bowl. He wants to get back there. He's the ultimate commander, not to play on words here, but he's the ultimate commander.
Hey now, Brian, come on.
Yeah. But, no, there's nothing not to love about Jalen Hurts, period. I mean, as a person, as a teammate, as a leader. And so, like, the only thing I would say, if you want to really pick him apart right now through 2 weeks, is I think he has left the pocket too early on a couple of occasions. And, that's his prerogative. He's got to feel that. That's a dance that is tough to gauge. Do I stay here and take the hit? And is the guy going to open, or is it better to bail, buy myself some time, and hit the play after the X's and O's? And look, Mahomes battles with that. These guys that move from the pocket, they battle with it. But I think Jalen has got, he's got a new right guard in there. Teams are blitzing him. Like, I think he just has to trust his protection and be a little more patient. And I think he'll have more success if he does that. But I can't, like, nobody can say what Jalen is feeling and what he's seeing. Like, that's all him. But, it's just an outsider looking at the game, studying him. I would say that would be something I'd pick apart right now.
Brian Baldinger will be on the call, on the national radio call this weekend. Of course, all his analysis, his Baldy breakdowns on Twitter and on the NFL Network. Brian, always a pleasure. Thank you, sir. Have a great weekend and enjoy the game this weekend.
Thanks, Craig. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
This is The Hoffman Show on the Team 980 and the Odyssey app.